morning. Welcome to Investigator News, and I'm Ellie, and we've got Karen, our moderator. We got some of the best moderators, I believe. Very boisterous. So if that gets to you, that's okay because I think we're all angry at what's going on in our country, and we should be. And the thing about it is, the Democrats are waking up, and the polls showed uh, only there. When I looked at it, they do give a margin of 4 to 6 points. And I want to. Some of our new viewers don't know, but the ones that watch me a lot, they understand this. Um, what it is when they do polls, they poll probably 65% Democrats, and then they split between Republicans and independents. Independents, they do about 10%. So the Republicans always get less. So that's what the margin's for. So you can always add those points to the Republicans to get an accurate count. Well, they're saying 10%, only 10% of Democrats right now are, they're not even happy. They're mediocre, warm, and not so happy with what they're seeing, with what they voted for, and not getting the promises. And that's what the polls were showing. And, I looked at the polls and I thought, oh, this is good. But then I started looking at other things going on and some of the reports coming out this week. And I tell you what, it's not depressing people, it's making them angry. With gas prices, inflation, and then we hear inflation's going to be even worse. Um, so, I did my thing on the polls, and I've always said that this administration is approximately 20 minus 26 for approval. And I'm sticking with that, folks. I think the hardcore Democrats that's left are the liberals that hijacked the Democrat Party. And I'll stick to that. 5 stages of grief, is that great? Um, and that was a wonderful show last night, William. If you guys missed mine and William's show last night, we really went and explained a lot of things that are hard for people to understand. And so we broke it all down. And the whole, he told me after the show, he says, they got little computers. And I said, what do you mean little? And he says, yeah. And I said, what? The little components they stick in the computers. He said, oh no, the whole computer. He says it's about the size of a card. So next week, we're going to start getting back into what this is about. So I thank him for mentioning that to me after the show. So we got more, folks. Me and William, I don't think me and William run out of stuff. So Mary is in the room, and she's our other moderator, and we thank her. And we thank all of our new viewers over there in Facebook. Come on now, YouTube folks. We need to gain some viewers over here. Um, you've been in the hospital. Why are you in the hospital? Mary's in the hospital. Why? What are you doing there? Hospitals aren't allowed, huh, Karen? Our people we know, we don't allow them to go in the hospital. Yeah. So get yourself out. Get yourself out, Mary. Even though the gown opens up in the back, run. I'm scared to be put in the hospital right now, and I've got surgery coming up at the end of the month. So yeah, they're not keeping me. I'll run naked out of the hospital if I got to, with the gown of flailing behind me. So, is it your migraines? I mean, my boy, people that have migraines, they do that Botox stuff. They offered me Botox, and I was like, no, I don't like needles. So it's like, no, you're not injecting me with Botox. No, I don't think so. Um, there's many medicines out there, Mary, but or I should say everybody that has plagued with migraines, just keep hunting. Just keep hunting for the right one. Some of them will even give you headaches. I can't remember the name of the drug, but boy, they gave me some um, prescription, and I was fine until I took it, and then it gave me headaches. So just have a good doctor and one that will keep searching until they find relief. That's what we did with my granddaughter. And, you know, the fear of MS with family members is big. And she's already having issues that kind of show up like she could have maybe hereditary and genetically got MS. Because with MS, it can hit your kids, it can hit your grandkids, or even great grandkids. It's in the genes and the hereditary. So anyway, um, abdominal issues. Well, heck, I'm talking headaches. Boy, Mary, now I got to change over to stomach aches. Uh, half a bottle of Pepto Bismol, except for, unless it's appendix. But anyway, let's not get with the medical issues. What I want to get onto is our the United States. And they say the stats are scary, and it's like, no, they're not. This is the truth. Um, so 82% of the voters rate the economy negatively. Okay, so I added to it. So it comes up to 92% almost of voters rate the economy negatively. That's straight across. They say including 57% who described or did 57% of Democrats who describe it as poor, and that's the highest in decades for a Democrat Party to turn on their own party. And um, 90% of the voters say their families are struggling to afford to pay gas. 88% say groceries are a problem. Um, I ought to just add my numbers to this. Okay, so 92% of say that groceries are a problem. 85% say they're having a hard time paying their bills and their utility bills, and the list goes on. If only 95% say gas prices are too high, that confirms that the other 8% are the only ones driving Teslas. But guess what? The Tesla and these electric car people are the ones that's complaining the most. And it's not about the gas, it's about the cost of living. And they said they're even struggling. So the Teslas and the electric cars didn't fix anything like we were told, they say. And another day of $5 gas. So what's the solution? Well, I'm not even going to call him a president. Biden is blaming the oil companies now. What happened to Putin? That was the first thing that came out of my mouth when he said that Biden is blaming oil companies, threatening them with emergency powers, writing a letter that he's going to claim war on them. Well, wait a minute. What happened to Putin was all this problem? Putin was the gas. Putin was the inflation. Putin was all everything. Russia. Well, now they're changing gears, and it's not just Biden. It's all the Democrats are coming out and saying it's the oil company's faults now. With I mean, we were looking at $1.70 a gallon 2 years ago, or even less, and now we're at $5. And he claims that they're making profits. Now, I've even heard this from those college kids, that they're the ones making all the profits, so they're the one in control of it. They're the ones that are controlling the price of the barrel. And I beg to differ on that one. And it says that they are worsening our economy. And if they keep raising prices, they're going to drive us into a depression. And then they're the problem with the food getting on the shelves, and they're the cause of the lack of food. And so he's going to claim war on them. And he basically, the White House press secretary, oh boy, defending that this is going on. Now, what happened to her a week ago when she was blaming Putin? You know, they seem to think that that if they say something last week and they say it this week, that I'm going to say their own voters are too stupid to realize what they've done, that they've lied. And the thing with it, folks, I have in my lifetime, I'm old, and some of you might be way younger than me, like Nick. Nick isn't very old. Where's Nick? Um, I have never seen a president ever do this, ever, to the United States. Have a hatred for our flag. And I say he's got a hatred for our flag because when Antifa burns it, they cheer it on. I am just so I'm pissed. I just have to say I'm pissed at what this administration has done. They've demonized everything about this wonderful country. And we're standing proud and we're still putting up our flags and we're still the patriots we were a few years ago. And that's something you guys can't lose. You can't feel defeated. You stand strong. We are going through probably what our forefathers did when the Democrats was telling them, we want slavery. We want one world. We want communism. Yeah, back in the 1800s. Look in your history. It's what they're trying to erase. Just like the college students say, we're tearing down the statues because you guys were taught wrong. History isn't living history and personal accounts is not being taught wrong. And this is what I tried to tell them, and boy, they got angry. But there is a war against our, not just Republicans, it's against the country itself. There is a war on us. And when I seen those poll numbers, folks, um, 90 over 90% of the country is angry. And 57, 60, if you add the numbers for the polls, 60% of Democrats are angry too. They're waking up and they're saying, "Oh, the Republicans are waking up." No, they are waking up and they're realizing they've been duped. And I'm not saying they're stupid. I'm just saying they got suckered into it because the Democrat Party will vote a whole Democrat ticket because they're hardcore Democrats. They don't pick and choose and say, well, that guy wasn't very good. I'm not going to vote for him this time. A lot of them, and I'm going to have to say my folks are the same, hardcore Republicans. We got them too, that will vote a pure Republican ticket. And is it right? No, it's not. And I know a lot of us do it. And I did it a few years ago just to keep Republicans in office. But then we're finding out that we got these Republicans that have turned against what we even want. And now we're looking at a government that is going on what they want, their opinions, their feelings, and they're going and voting against what we want as a voter. It's we the people, and we put them in office. And we should be the ones that they think about, not what the senator wants, because we've got senators that say, "Oh, I believe in climate, and I believe we shouldn't have gas, and that's my opinion," and their whole district is saying, you get in there and you vote against their stuff, and they're not doing it because I've called them on it. I've called them on the phone, and I've talked to many senators and congressmen, and they all say, well, we're doing what's best for our district or our state. That's not what's best. It's what they think in their little pea brains. And I'm thinking they are little pea brains. Now, mind you, folks, now that I've been through, I took journalism and courses and stuff, and I'm starting to realize that when they get in office, they just join the club, the Nancy Pelosi club. And when you look at their education, it's just political science. They're taking political, like I am right now, uh, to be, it's almost like they're trying to be journalists. And that's all they've ever done. Look at Joe Biden. He hasn't done nothing but be a political party. And look at, he's not done nothing. Um, him and Bernie Sanders, everything that they've tried to pass didn't make it because they're dumb. We're not the stupid ones, they are. So they're taking advantage of everything that we stand for. And you know, when I seen the polls and I seen what the American people are saying, it's time that we get a lot of these guys out, and we have the time. We got the um, I can't say that word. We are gonna change things in November, and then we have a couple years to get this right. And we need to get this right. We need to look at who they are, what they stand for, and you can't just call them anymore. They don't answer their phones. It's like when it gets close to the time where we have to make a decision, they quit answering their phones. And Republicans are even getting it just as bad. And a lot says, well, I'm just going to vote independent. Yeah, but if a whole bunch of people vote independent, this is my fear, that there'll be just enough that go towards the Democrat Party that we might lose it, and then they'll gain, and they'll do worse. And they know they're doing worse. They understand it, and it's almost like they are purposely doing this, and they are. Why? Why do they want to destroy such a beautiful country? And why do they, they're so into keeping this country beautiful and natural and not non-pollutants and all that. But what do they want to do? They want to throw up hundreds of miles of solar panels. That is so ugly. I seen a bird's eye view of it on my GPS, and it's so ugly. Why do they want that? Um, and we have clean oil, we have clean gas, we have clean coal. And get this, the report came out that we are cleaner today than we've ever been since 1950. What's that tell you? And we're not all in electric cars right now. We did it. We did it. We cleaned our country up. Now the only thing we need to do is something about the garbage, and that's a pet peeve with me: the garbage in the ocean. But we have like places like Hawaii that just dump all their garbage in the ocean. They're a offender of this. But our country is the cleanest ever in history. And I'm proud, and it should make all of you proud because we've worked very hard in doing what was best for this country as far as pollutants. And we did it. We did it, folks. We really did. And even um, it's not the oil executives that are raising the cost of or to blame. They have this administration stopped issuing permits for oil and gas leases. And Tom Cotton has looked into it, and I'm a big fan of his because he's from here. And it's really a very weird how when they couldn't, me and Williams talked about this, and I might even have to go to my chat to read some of these comments because there's a bunch of them coming it through. Me and William talked about this, and I just kind of feel if they stop that war over there, and William probably don't agree with me on this, if we stop the war over in Ukraine, it would prove that Putin wasn't doing this. And now we have all these countries coming forward saying, nope, this is enough. We need to stop. They need to go and do a negotiation. So all of a sudden, this administration has to switch uh, their who to blame. And so now who are they blaming? The oil industry. I mean, how many times wasn't it Trump? Oh, Trump did it. Trump, 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 Trump. Them and their Trump derangement that they got. We don't have it. They have it. And then all of a sudden it was Russia, Russia, Russia. They keep, they'll blame everybody but themselves for what they've done. And that's what really Tom Cotton was talking about. They're blaming, they want to phase out fossil fuels. Now, if you remember, Joe Biden did promise his voters, there is going to be a war on fossil fuels. He is going to stop them. And they were all like, yay. No, and we all said that. I mean, I have the smartest viewers that know that this was all wrong when it was being said. And even the new viewers, because they found us because they were looking for someone to stand up and say, you know what? you guys are full of crap. And now we're starting to see it. And you get this, I've even got Democrat voters that are watching. They don't like how I put them down. And they said I need to go easy on them. But, if we're going to gain more Democrats on our side, it's about time, we join hand in hand and say, we're going to do something. We're going to get together. We're going to join hands. We're going to move forward to make America great again. And that's not a MAGA Trump thing. That's something that's just said. We're going to make America great again. And it's not, like I said, it's not a Trump thing. And what about if we declare war on oil and gas and the administration for what they've done? I was thinking about this morning. I said, you know what? Maybe we need to do a war, and our war is the oil and gas and coal is behind us, and we're just going to get them. And so much today, and I didn't want to go into all this, but I guess I'm going to. We have been watching them tear this country down for decades, and as we are looking at this in the oil and the gas and everything that our country stands for, that we could be helping other countries. When we were producing the oil, everybody else in other countries were doing far better. When Biden decided to do this, he attacked all the countries. And they should be angry at him. They should be turning on the United States saying enough's enough. And the other thing I've noticed is how many news media is now promoting this. We have the protesters that are going after the Supreme Court saying, if we don't get our way, then we're gonna riot. This is gonna get nasty. Now we have countries that are saying it. And now we have Democrats that are saying it. They're all pushing us towards a civil war. And this is what the Democrats want. They have been trying since they have been in office. I'm talking even Obama, to get the Republicans to stand up and fight. Well, you know what? We don't fist fight. We negotiate. We put up with them. But at this point, I'm not saying go out and riot and protest in the streets, but I'm saying, and this is hard, really hard for me to say, it's time we get on our knees and we pray like we've never prayed before. And you're going to have to find some way to protect yourself, because I really do believe they're not going to be happy until they put us into a civil war. And this is something I was going to do on Dave Hodges' show, and I'm still saving it for his show for next week, of explaining how we got to being put to where we're in the brink of a civil war in this country. The only thing I see that's really good, folks, is there's more of us than them. I don't see Nancy Pelosi coming out and getting in the streets wanting to fight anybody. They're all that's left. It's the politicians, it's their friends, it's their families, and liberals, because moderate Democrats don't go for this. And so there's not very many of them. When it comes down to it, yeah, they're going to put hundreds of protesters into the streets and pay them to do it. But will they fight, or are they going to run? That's why they got to take the guns. We have the guns and they know it, and their protesters are too scared because they're anti-guns. They're scared to death of a gun. A lot of people don't, a lot of those people are very young, never been around guns, so they're scared of them. And that is our only leverage against them. And like I said, I don't want to push us to a civil war, but this is now getting to be a warning that they are talking about this. That's what's scary. They are, not us. And more that I've been watching some of the newscasts, it's really becoming very prominent that they're saying this. They're saying, yeah, we're going to have to go get them. Go out and protesters, go out and do it. And when they do, go after Kavanaugh or the Supreme Court. They're like smiling and giggling. And have you seen those people? Here's one of the other things I want to say. Take a look at those protesters. They are not mentally right. They're dressing up in weird costumes. They're banging on buckets. What? They can't go get a drum, a regular drum, and play the drum? No, they get buckets and they're using wooden spoons. These are mental people. These are sick people that they actually got and paid to put on the streets to protest, to go after us. And look at what it's done. It's brought out the crazies and them with their crime rate so high that the crazies that are unstable, that have guns, or they'll go get one, they'll steal one. They could even go to the gangs. The gangs are like, here, have a gun, dude. We don't care how mental you are. Go for it. And that's what's happening. It's happening in our schools. It's happening in our malls. It's happening at events. I'm surprised the Super Bowl didn't have issues. And it's only getting worse. And they love this. These politicians really do love it. I'm going to go through and see what our chat's saying, because they are just going. Um, Karen, yeah, like Mitch McConnell. He's one that we need to get out of office. I mean, that I agree. He is cited too many times with the Democrat Party. Um, Here's another one. It's all about hate for the orange man. Yeah, there's even a foundation by Soros that has the most protesters, that's called Hate Orange Man Foundation. There's over 500 that Soros has paid into for these foundations to protest. And they have hundreds, and they're all these different ones. And why so many? Because it goes all the way across the United States and into the UK even. Wherever he wants a protest, that's what happened. Let's see. Let's see. Traders, all of them, right there. Thank you, DB Wolf. That's what they are. They are traders of America. And I never thought in my lifetime I would ever see this. All right. Quietly and hold the political line. There you go. With that, thank you, William. Um, well, DB Wolf, come back and watch later and put some comments down there. And because we need these comments for people to see and respond to, so they feel like they're not alone. Because I don't know how many people I've talked to that said, I don't know what to do. I'm alone. I don't have very many friends. My family are Democrats. They don't like me anymore. And they need people that they can grab onto, even if it's a stranger in a comment. Because I've seen it. I've seen it in these chat rooms of, like Dan Bongino and Levin and a few others, where their chat rooms is they band together. It's like I said earlier, let's all hold hands and let's move forward. So, but quietly, like William said, quietly hold the political line. And if we got to be sneaky about it and we got to sneakily get rid of these guys, we need to get rid of them. And we need to get rid of these old guys. Sanders has got to go. Mitch McConnell's got to go. And I hate to say Grassy, but he's a little old, folks, and he just made it through to the next level. Leahy, Dick Durbin, Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein. A lot of these people need to go. If they are on, get this, the White House and Capitol physician said there are at least 10, 15, and I think it's even more now, that are on dementia medicines. And that right there tells you they shouldn't be in office. If they've got dementia problems, then they need to hand the reins over to someone else. So, anyway, So DB Wolf is tired and he went on to bed. He's the pro of trivia. So do want to get on because um, I want to read you and I caught this right before I mean it was like 15 minutes before the show, and it is the response that the oil executives gave to Biden, and he sent a letter and condemned them and blamed them for everything, and then they have responded to it, and it's very telling that this is even what they were even saying at the hearing that they all went to, and so I'm trying to get back to it. Um, okay, this one is the president of American Petroleum, and his name is Mike Summers. And he said the president in the White House sent a letter to them saying, big oil has got to refine more profit margins, did a refine and have more profit margins are out of control. The ironic thing is the day before they sent the letter, they sent a 10-point plan to the White House. And instead of the answer, and what it was is uh, basically a very good plan for the Biden administration to follow that could, like lowering um, the sanctions they have against them for producing more oil, or cutting restrictions they have against them, or keeping them and not releasing any more uh, to where they can drill. There's so much that they were put into perspective that makes a lot of sense. If they were able to produce more oil, they would. Why would oil executives raise it so high to have the American people turn on them? It makes no sense. It really don't. So this 10-point plan to the White House, and instead of an answer from the White House, they basically came back mad, and even Biden was yelling at them that they're profiteering, um, and that this 10-point plan is not even going to be considered, and it won't help consumer cost, and it won't ensure American energy security. What they're doing is you know, yeah, I just scratched. I should have went like this, scratched my head on that one. Um, really? They really think what they're doing is making America better again. And that's what they said. They're making America better again. No, 90 over 90% of this country says no, you're not. And close to 60% of their own voters said no, they're not. So instead of the White House um, deciding to do what's right, they're demonizing the industry and the world of American oil and gas. And what they should be seeking is to work with them. And this is what this guy is saying, this Mike Summers. Work with them in ways to lower consumer costs, to ensure the American energy leadership and the American energy independence going forward. They are not helpless in this regard. There are things that this administration can do to lower the cost of energy. And they said they outlined them in their 10-point plan. And he said, you can find it you guys can too. It's API.org. And we talk about opening federal lands, a lot of waters to exploration. And we talk about reducing the regulatory burden for American oil and gas producers. They've even talked about please just loosen up the tariffs you have on us so we can get the products that the American people need. Let me go back up there so you guys can, in case you guys missed it. And then I'll go back. It's API.org. And there you go. So if you guys want to go look at this plan, do so. And, of course, share it with your friends and family that this is what they're trying to do. And he said, reducing regulatory burden for American oil and gas producers, loosening up the tariffs so that they can get the essential products that they need, that the American people need. And they said there's a lot of things that they can do, and they're choosing not to take that path. And how frustrating it is, not just for us, but the American people that can see that they're not trying to fix this problem any longer. And this is, and like, for those that just joining us, this is the letter that the oil guys have sent back to Biden, and they make a lot of sense. He says, we're all going to the pumps, and people who are really afraid, if we interview people all over the country, and not that, all over the world, they can't do their shopping any longer. They have to look at what gas they have to be able to figure out if they get to go shopping or not. Can they afford it? Can they, if they buy gas, how much are they going to have left to be able to buy food or medicine or prescriptions? And they're looking at even the senior citizens that are unable to maybe even eat. What do you do? Do you eat, or do you buy your prescriptions, or do you buy gas? Do you put up with the heat from your AC because you got to have the extra few dollars to be able to either put in the gas or eat or get your scripts? And they said, that this is what you're doing. And um, they can't keep going back and forth because the American people can't afford it. And it's exactly the way the people feel. So when you hear the stories of the American people, you come up with a solution. And the White House is blaming our industry for what we have done. And stop blaming the war um, in Ukraine, because that's not the problem. It's you, your profits, your prices that were going up, up. Of course, even before the crisis in Ukraine, these policies were put in place at the beginning of this administration. And all they need to do are really two things. They need to change the tone. They need to start talking about essential nature of the industry, and go forward with the bases. And they need to also enact policies that are actually going to produce more oil and gas here in the United States. They've done neither of those. In fact, mixed messages that they're getting from the administration. And it's really unbelievable that you have Gina McCarthy on one side, John Kerry on the other side, saying that this industry needs to end by 2030. And then you have Jennifer Granholm, the president saying that we need to produce more, which that's what we've wanted to begin with. And that's what this 10-point plan is, but you refuse to even look at it. And you can't invest in blaming this person, that person. When is it going to be you're blaming the American people for the gas shortage or the food shortage? Are we eating too much? The United States keeps saying we're going to destroy fossil fuels, and then you get investments that not many people walk around with this type of money in their wallets in order to drill holes. And these leases and get the permits is here. And now they brought up this climate czar who flies around in his jet using fossil fuels and to push his solar panels. And who are we talking about? Kerry, Senator Kerry. And this energy security worrying about driving is full of hogwash. And how about we need more drilling of gas? We need drilling because we need to get back to not just the fossil fuels, but coal. And we have to prevent a false narrative from entering into this, or again, intended that we are cooked. And what he's talking about, well, It doesn't make sense for every independent analysis to suggest that we're going to need more oil and gas for the future. And then them turn around with their listening to these guys, getting what these economists and the oil guys are saying, and then go the separate way. Even if every country meets its Paris climate, the future is not less. In fact, even if every country meets the Paris climate, we're still going to be 50 of our energy in oil and gas in a year. And in 2050, because populations are going up, 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 and billions of people, the energy demand is only going to go up, up, up. So this is a false narrative. And being peddled and duped by Secretary Kerry, we need to be focused on American energy security and lowering prices for our American people. And that's what our plan is all about. And he says, you've got your pump in oil, but you're not refining it. And the refineries are making too much money. Is that really a reality? No, the refineries are full, and they're all in America and waiting to be used. And we don't build anymore. And also, they have stunted housing. And that's another false narrative being pushed in the White House. In fact, today they sent a letter in response that outlining falsities that they are putting forward. So if you see what they're putting out today in that letter, if you read it, it just make you sick. Karen, don't read it. It just make you mad. And the truth of the matter is, we're down in terms of refining capacity since the beginning of this administration. And they did say they were going to kill fossil fuels. And we all knew this, and the Democrats knew it. But they were so busy making sure that this administration made it in. For what? For what? And then he says we're down is because of increased regulatory pressure on American refineries, incentives to convert refineries to refine different products. What is it? That's the key thing. If you're going to get rid of the refineries and keep them full, what's the plan? The problem is the capacity with this administration is they're going to keep putting regulatory burdens on them. It was a falsity all the way around. And if we continue to expand our refineries, then we can, like ExxonMobil, for example, in Texas, already working to expand the refinery. But the regulatory pressure on them is keeping them from even trying to increase or do another refinery so they can keep putting oil in there. They said, this guy, when I seen him on another program, folks, this is what really got me. We have got so much oil or fossil fuels and between the oil and the gas stocked up that if a Republican president does it right, we could be looking at in between 70 and 80 cents a gallon because of how much is stored. Is that making money for the oil industry? Yeah, this is their words, not mine. They've got so much stored up, and this should really piss you guys off, that we could have gas prices at 70 and 80 cents a gallon. Wow. Like I said, that should piss you off. So if we can get in a Republican president, they said their plan's going to take 7 years. That's total for everything. Just they didn't say anything how long it would take for the gas and oil, but it's probably instantaneous that we will see. I mean, wouldn't it be nice the day after the 2024 when we get everybody in and it's our way, that prices drop $3 instantly? Look how quick this administration put gas prices up $2. Then it went 3, 4. Look how fast we could bring it down. And that would really prove to the Democrat voters that they were wrong all along. So this guy basically, he says they've got this green agenda and they don't want to punch any more holes in the ground. And they want to get it from Saudi Arabia. They want to get it from Venezuela. Why are we making Venezuela rich? I thought they were horrible people, and we were saving their people from this horrible regime they have down there. Now all of a sudden the regime's okay. When did that change? I think it's been that way all along. I think they just, like with Ukraine and the corruption in Ukraine, that it's okay because these politicians are getting something from them. I don't know what it is, but they're getting something. And so they're going to just agree with them. And not only that, but during Obama-Biden administration, they pissed off Saudi badly. And now we got Biden having to go back and grovel and say, please, please give me the oil. And they won't have it. They made them mad. They made Saudi mad. And the Saudi oil, to bring it over here to refine, then we're refining their oil, and that's not allowed. So you think that Biden is a little bit off, or he doesn't know, doesn't understand, or he's doing it on purpose? Oh, we'll get Saudi oil, we'll get Venezuela, but we still got to refine it here. And that's a fact. And that's what these guys are saying. And they say it's pretty outrageous. And then he even says in his letters, look at your poll numbers for this administration. That should tell you, and that should tell the politicians in the United States that they are unhappy with the choices that they've made. And now the United States doesn't really want to punch holes in the ground, but what's wrong with opening up the leases they have now that already have holes? And they don't even want them to do that. They're saying, oh, you're going to put more holes in the ground. No, what the oil people are saying in this note was that they're not repunching, or they're not punching holes in the ground. They're pulling from what is already there. And so see how this has been such a falsity. And they said if we're buying it from other countries from here on out, they are warning the American people that prices are going to skyrocket, and it's not going to be long before it's $10 a gallon throughout this country, possibly by the end of the year. I'm glad they sent this. This was as a whole. It wasn't just Mike Summers that did this. It was all of the oil executives saying this to the Biden administration. And the big one was quit blaming the war on this, because they were saying that the oil executives were blaming the war for their high prices. And they're saying, no, they're not. Now, do you think MSNBC or NBC, ABC are going to put this letter out today? No, because that's not they are bought and paid for by the Democrat Party. All right, I want to move on. Oh boy. I just got to talking for 50 minutes and I didn't even want to go that far. Now here's the other thing. We are now going to send an additional $1 billion in additional security assistance to Ukraine. It's the release this morning. We're going to send them more stuff. And you heard me last night. I don't agree with this. I want to see the spreadsheet and what they're spending it on. Oh boy, that was a noise. I don't think we need to be sending them no more money if they're willing to go and stop this and negotiate. Let's let negotiations happen. But then I was like, now wait a minute. This came out this morning. Germany is holding all the stuff that we send over there, and even financing and money. Even Germany or I should say Germany is the one holding on to it and giving it to Ukraine. William, didn't you say something like that last night? That the Germans had a little bit to do with this? Well, see, now we're finding out. So what is Germany doing with Ukraine's stuff? Why are they in charge of whether Ukraine gets this, or the time limit on Ukraine getting this? So I was that kind of makes me upset. Karen's probably red in the face and she has smoke blowing out her ears at this point. Blinken, basically, Iran shutting off the monitoring system, and we brought this up briefly last night. We spent a lot of time making sure that we could watch what they're doing. Now they've cut the cameras off to where we don't know, but now they have announced this morning that they're going to fire a rocket. We now have to look at what Iran's going to do, and we got to quit them from playing these games with Israel, where they shoot 10, 15 rockets. And of course, Israel's got Iron Dome, and they block them, and very small percentages getting through. And then when Israel is ready to say, that's it, we're heading that way, then they stop and say, oh, no, we're just firing rockets. Yeah. And now they've got a huge nuclear system there that we are now starting to see them shut off these cameras. What are they going to do off camera? I think watching the missile launch, I'm okay if we could see that, but what are they hiding at this point? Germany and France is holding back on arms. There you go. See, I found out this morning, though, William, that they're holding off on the stuff that's supposed to go to Ukraine. So are they making a little bit of profit off of it, the money being in their bank, and then they'll ship it off, and then they keep the excess. That's what I'm thinking. So Nazis, yeah. Maybe Putin was right. There are a bunch of Nazis there. So now we got now China is even pushed into high gear, and now there's a substantial expansion in China for nukes. So, and then of course we're seeing the same thing in North Korea, and everybody is just building up their arsenals, and we have not heard a word about us doing the same thing. That's something that we really do need to look into is when we do gain some of the power back, we are so far behind and so stunted that we're going to have to pay. Unfortunately, folks, we're going to have to start building our military back up. And that's going to be the money it's going to cost us. Are we willing to do that to protect the United States? That's the question. Okay, come on. Now, Jinping, he announced, it was late yesterday, and this comes from WION, that he is going to increase going around with his Belt and Road Initiative, and everywhere he has it, he's going to start loading these countries up with military power. And not only that, but he's going to start building ports. Now, this was Belt and Road. This had nothing to do with building up military bases in these countries. But now Jinping has decided this is what he wants to do. And of course, it puts us at a disadvantage where we got to go back and negotiate with these allies and tell them, you really don't want to do this. But by then, they might be praying for us to come over there. The Biden energy, I believe it was the blonde hair lady, Stockholm, I think is her name, and a few of these other ones that's looking at our economy. When asked, they said, the high cost of gas is really, really bad. And the response was, we're paying the same price as Brazil and Venezuela is. Yeah, what kind of answer is that? Boy, like I said, the news today is just really making me mad because that what a dumb answer that is. How stupid do they think we are? Oh, we got the same as Venezuela. Well, we've been telling them the dem we've been telling the Democrat Party, the Republicans, and even Trump said this, um, that it was a horrible plan. Socialism is a failure, and it's only going to cause your costs to go up. Well, now that it failed and the costs are go up, they're saying, well, it's okay. Our country, so we're having issues and we're going the same way, and socialism's a bust, but it's okay because we're paying the same price they are. So that has got to be the most stupid answer I've ever heard from an economist or someone that's in charge of our economy. Um, Belt and Belt and Road is a Chinese logistics. There you go. Um, and that's exactly what we talked about last night. So, I mean, this is a wake up call. Basically, that's what they were saying this morning. And a lot of these, I mean, I went publication after publication, AP and um, Western Journal to Red State to even their own sites that are basically saying this isn't working, folks. We're going to crash. We're going to crash and burn. And they said this is a recession. Now you're pushing us to a depression. Now what are you going to do? And they're like, we don't know. We don't know. No plan. No plan. And that's what's scary. And even General Flynn said, no more talk. No more talk anymore. That we need to action. We need to plan. And if you're not going to do it and you're not going to take action on the border, it's time for the governors to do it themselves. States are allowed to write in laws that would protect that border. Well, you know what? It's time for the governors. If you're along the border, folks, you get a hold of your governor and you tell them, you know what? Block it. Block it. If we got to build our own wall, then we need to block these people. Um, oh boy, it's just a bunch of it. Guess what? They stalled the baby formula again. They're going to delay it. They're going to delay the baby formula once again. Why? We do. There's not real good reasons for it. It's going to be a delay for these factories to be able to push it out of their factories and their plants. It's going to be another month because they're going to stall them. It's a forced stall, is how I took it. So now, with us out of formula, them not even working on getting more formula. Um, well, Oliver North, I don't know. He's kind of back and forth. I'm not sure after what he did to Arkansas if I trust him. Um, you see, that's me with Oliver North, though, Karen. Um, now a tampon shortage. Uh, well, I mean, there's always the other stuff that you can. Well, I hate talking women, feminine products. There's other feminine products out there, but what happens when that's out? What happens when they totally cut cows out and there's no more milk or eggs? When they cut the chickens out, all of this stuff. They're eventually going to say chicken coops are too dirty because they tried to do it here, folks. They tried it. The Clintons tried it, and Hillary tried it during the 80s, where they wanted to shut down um, chicken productions up north because there was too much chicken poop on the ground. Chickens poop. Sorry. I mean, they do clean it up, and it wasn't like it was icky and filthy. Did it comparable to uh, all around the nation. And come to find out, it was some of the cleanest plants look like the ones they were trying to shut down here. And basically it was all to cover up that Tyson Chicken was putting cocaine in their chickens. Oh no, don't look at that. Don't look over here where how dirty the chicken plants are. So anyway, um, now the climate change czar Kerry. We absolutely don't need to increase American fossil fuel production. We need to put out and start creating and making jobs for solar panels. Well, my thing in looking into it's too late. It's too late for solar. It's too late for your wind generators. Um, it's too late. Everything's bottomed out. Um, okay, let's build them. Okay, now American people buy it. Well, who the heck can afford this stuff? Oh, you can get it through a government grant or government program that will charge you a little bit, but then we owe them. Who has got the money to buy these stupid solar panels? Okay, get this. They put them all through um, um, Iowa and all the flatlands. Okay. Well, what happens when Mr. Tornado comes by? They're gone. Then what? What? They're going to print more money and we're going to pay for more to be put out there? They are not tornado proof. They are not hurricane proof. They are not wind proof. Anything over 100-mile-an-hour winds is going to yank them suckers right out of the ground. Not only that, they have to be replaced every 8 to 10 years. So if we get them installed today, in 8 years, we're going to have to print all this money again to replace every single bit of it. And not to mention I can't remember who it was that did the solar farm out in the middle of the desert. Now we have thousands of panels in the middle of the desert, broken and not even being used after we paid for it. What are they going to do about them? What are they going to do with thousands of solar panels that are broken in the middle of the desert that were supposed to help us out? Oh boy. Now here's the one I think is a fix, folks. And I think Arizona did it, and now and Texas is thinking on doing it. Now Oklahoma, the House is voting to eliminate grocery tax as inflation taxes are getting worse. Cut the tax on the food, and they're even talking about cutting taxes on gas. It's not going to help us much on the gas, but the food, it might. How many people, and I hope you guys answer this, especially over in Facebook and down in the comments. How many went to the grocery store and they got 2 sacks of groceries and it was $100 worth of food? And they're just going, oh my God, I don't believe this. There is, according to The Economist, your grocery bill has went up 60% just since this January. 60%. And I hate to tell you about what's happening with the housing market. Boy, folks, if you sold your house today, you're going to be lucky if you get 50% of your profit back because of what the feds just did. 1% increase, a 1-point increase, will cause your bill for your mortgage payment to go up almost $100 a month. I got hit with 50. And I went, what? Well, that was the last point that was added. Now they just added 7 points. 7 points. I mean, how bad is that going to affect you? Do you have a mortgage on your house? It's gonna go up $100 maybe or more. What about rent? If you're renting, now you got a landlord that has to pay $100 more a month. Then guess what you're going to have to pay for? So look at your rent. If it's only $400 or $500, can you afford $600, $700, $800? Can you afford $1,000 like San Francisco? Get this, a 1-bedroom or even a studio in San Francisco, close to $4,000 a month. Wow. Wow. And it's, we have to almost go back. They forced us back to the basics. I'm not buying their stupid electric car. I'm getting me a horse. I'm not allowed farm animals in my backyard, but by golly, if I got to, I'll own a horse. I'm not buying their stupid electric car. I thought it was really cool here a few years ago. If they would only do this when they said the end was, and that was 2050. We could have accepted 2050. We can't accept it has to happen now. And who's doing it? Klaus Schwab. He said, oh no, this is an emergency. We got to put this into effect now. We can't wait. We're going to push it and we're going to put everything into effect within this year. Now look at what's going on. So somebody's being dumb and listening to them on this world order and this world order economics. Well, let's see his plan. Um, we haven't even seen Klaus Schwab put a plan out to say this is all going to work. Um, oh boy, oh boy. Now this is coming. Basically, it's a police issue. Do you guys remember the guy in New York? Um, yeah, 900. But see, Karen, here, everybody's going to have to start moving to where the cost isn't so, the cost of living isn't high. Like here, for that one room you got would be more like 600 here. But that's not going to last long. If prices go up, 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 it's going to be too. Where are we going to live? Where do they think we need to live? Out in Tent City, and give up our houses? What are we giving our houses up for? Who's going to move into our houses? Or are they going to say, we're going to raise your taxes and you get to live there? This is what the college guys were saying. They said, oh, it would be so nice to pay high taxes and then we would have a house to live in and they would give us free food and they would give us a welfare card. That's what they're pushing for. We wouldn't have our house, but we'd be paying high taxes to live there. That's socialism, and that's almost pushing it to communism. If you look at exactly the policies and what communism is about. Um, Israel, the DOJ. Let me go back to this. You guys remember the BLM that, and during the riots, when they threw a Molotov into the car of two police officers? And this was very traumatic for everybody. I mean, they had kids, and the DOJ is refusing to prosecute them now because it was a peaceful protest, and since it was a peaceful protest, that these BLM people shouldn't be held responsible for throwing a Molotov cocktail in a car of a police officer. Uh, they're making up all kinds of excuses for that, but this is exactly what they're doing all over this country in the Democrat cities. Is if someone kills somebody and it's a Democrat, well, they're they just don't have their mind together. Let's not charge them, and they're letting them out. Now Israel came out this morning and they're saying Netanyahu could be back. They say the return of Netanyahu could happen because Israel faces possibly another snap election. And they said with Bennett, I believe his name is, that he has let the people down and they want Netanyahu back. I'm not sure about that, but yeah. Get a grow light and grow veggies. And you can get the bulbs. You can get the grow bulbs that you can put in any lamp, folks, and set it up and right there. Get your veggies. Grow veggies year round. You can grow tomatoes in your house. They have got vining tomato plants that you can put a light in over the top of it, and you can grow cherry tomatoes on a vine year round. Just bring it in your house. And me and Mary's talked about this, about prepping. Get your veggies in a 5-gallon bucket and you get them in and you get some grow lights. Right now, they may be a little pricey, but can you imagine what they're going to be a year from now? We won't be able to afford the grow lights. So do that and start. And you can go to some of your local donut shops and other shops, and you can get those 5-gallon buckets for like $2-3. They're used. Sometimes you got to wash them out. But get your buckets and get your veggies in your house. And before they outlaw you growing them outside. Um, Now, over in Ukraine, really quick, 2 U.S. vets reportedly captured by Russian troops. Ukraine families are scrambled away from the scene, they say. But they got 2 U.S. vets. Now, supposedly, since the Biden administration isn't going to work quick enough for their release, it looks like veterans have gotten together, band together to find out what it's going to take to have these guys released. So, a pack of veterans, or not pack, a group of veterans with a heart that have families are now wanting to pitch in and go to Putin and say, "Can we get these veterans back?" Um, I you know, uh, um, this is very disheartening that they are over there, and now our own administration isn't going to work on getting them back. I think this is a new phase to. Are they going to, if we have anybody captured by Russia or even Ukraine, are we going to do anything, or is this administration just going to say do whatever with them? We don't care. And that's the question of the veterans right now that are working on trying to get these guys back. They just get the feeling that this administration doesn't care about veterans, and if they don't care about the veterans, then are they even going to do anything? Um, Now, let's see. I wanted to get to this one. This is weird. Now, and I seen this yesterday, but I should have grabbed it for last night's show. And what it is Navy fires the fourth commander in 7 days. The Navy has announced that yet another firing of a commander officer, Peter Leska, of the destroyer USS Preble. Um, and Leska is the fourth commander to be relieved from the Army in the latest 7 days. They announced Saturday that the top enlisted representative of the destroyer, Bulkley, has also been relieved. Not only that, the commander of the electronic attack squadron, he was let go. And so it just goes on and on. And the reasoning that the Navy is being given is none. None. They're not telling them why. They're just coming in and they're relieving them from office and taking them out. And they asked, are they going to be replaced? And they're not even answering that. Now, William, my question to you guys, to you is and any other military members, if they're taking them out and not replacing them, that's going to weaken our Navy commanders in chief, in charge of when we go over there to China. Who are we going to have in charge? If you're taking out the commanders and chiefs, who are we going to depend on to run these naval vessels? So this isn't, just seems to me that they're going to start taking out these commanders and these admirals, these generals that don't agree with what they want to do. And if they're a Republican, they're going to take them out. So, wow, that's just, I seen that and I was like, wow, this is really getting bad. Now, the good thing is troops are going to get cash back for gas during PCS moves. And so anything, it used to be just a certain small percentage, but they're increasing it to where if they have to move and move their families, they are going to get paid back for that gas. Not only that, but now with we were talking Lackland last night, which is a training base for when you first get in the service. They are finding that each one of it's Marines, they say, but they said Marine recruits and others, a huge amount has been taken to the hospital with heat-related system this week, more than they've ever seen in history. Now, here's one I was talking about earlier with the threatening. They're calling it Jane's Revenge. And not only the radical abortion groups are using this Jane's Revenge, but other protesters. And what they want to do is they're going to threaten domestic terror on the rest of us under Jane's Revenge. I just want to let you know. So if you hear that, now you know what this is about. Is it's these protesters working with Democrats that are in office are now going to threaten domestic terrorism on our country under Jane's Revenge. Um, there has been Argentina is investigating the crew of an Iranian Venezuelan plane that came up missing. It crashed and disappeared, and now they're going to investigate it. And Argentina said that this wasn't no UFO. It was a Iranian. They had it. They pinpoint it was an Iranian and Venezuela plane that was like almost marked differently than what it should have, and it went down. But when they got there to the wreckage, and they said it took a couple hours, everything was gone. There's no plane. So now they're wondering, was it just a bleep on the radar? Were they misinformed? Now they have to investigate this, and the reason it's so important is we're seeing that Iran is starting to send their military equipment to Venezuela and starting to support Venezuela, and probably even do like the Belt and Road Initiative where they come in, they're going to help. And I thought it was Russia that was going to do this, but now we're hearing that it's Iranians that's doing it. It's going to give them military equipment and military money to build up Venezuela so they can have a port there. So Iran is looking at putting a port in Venezuela. So they'll have a port there. So will Russia. Russia will have one in Cuba. And it's just crowding up our Gulf. And that's too close. That's too close. The Navy will have to reinstate the officers after it has sinking of destroyers. Yeah. Yeah. See, that's what I was thinking, William. And they're talking, they don't know. The Pentagon and Department of Defense isn't letting them know what's the plan. Are they going to replace them? Are they going to promote? They're just taking them. And that's 7. Was it 7? I said in the last few days, they're taking them out. And that was with Military News. If you guys want to go read on it, it's at militarynews.com. Oh, and lastly, I'm down to finally the last one, because I really wanted to get all these stories to you guys today. This is important stuff. And it's not so hard for you guys to understand that this is what's going on in our world. And dadgummit, why aren't the media telling you guys this stuff? Macron predicts if he doesn't win, there's going to be disorder and chaos on the streets, a civil war. See what I'm saying? World leaders are doing this. We're saying it. Our protest, BLM saying it, Antifa saying it. We had this abortion group saying it. Protesters are saying it. BLM, all of them are saying the same thing. If we don't get our way, and if we lose, we're going to hit the streets with domestic violence. Oh yeah. So this isn't right, and this administration knows it. And the thing is why. And I thought they were just dumb and doing numbers. This is out and out deliberate. They are deliberately doing this to our country. And why? It's because they sold out our country to socialism and communism. So disgrace Millie. Yeah, we need to get a lot of them out, Karen. When we get a Republican president in office, there's going to have to be a lot of cuts. I mean, we're going to have to wipe them all out and start fresh. And that's, I think, what this country needs is if we get the House and the Senate and then a president, we're going to have to wipe them all out because they're not going to change. These people are hardcore liberals and their minds aren't going to change. They are set into, they're going to go all the way to the end. But what's the end? You know, and that's been my question. Where's the end for this? Oh, they don't know. They don't know. Well, what's the plan to get us back up? If you guys are going to build back better, what's the build back better plan? Oh, they don't know. They don't know. And as I have my Capitol ladies, you know, asking around, what are they going to do? They just laugh. They said there is none. There is no plan. So now you know there is no plan. There is no build back better. They're just going to tear it up and walk away. And who's going to carry the money? Because it's always where the money's at. They're all are in this for the money. And so start looking to see what your governor, what your senator, what your Congress and legislators, what they're going to make money off of, and get them the heck out of their seats. So with that, folks, that is it. Boy, you might have to just go back through and rewatch. But this is it can either make you mad, it can piss you off, it could. Don't get depressed out of this, because we're going to come out victorious and we're going to be the winners in this, because we now, like I told you from the very beginning of the show, 80%, over 80% of this country, closer to 90%. I'm going to go with the correct numbers. 90% of this country, that's Democrats included, independents, say enough's enough. You have destroyed our country and we're not going to tolerate it anymore. So, well, you know, what that does is all that's going to cause, Judith, is an uprising. She said her fear is the Democrats have a plan to totally take over before, and I can't say the word after it, and there will be no more Novembers to put people in office. That big E word, that is a big no-no on YouTube. We're not allowed to say that word. And it's sad. You know, we're not allowed to say the M word. We're not allowed to talk about the V thing. We can call it a pandemic. We can call it a disease. But there are certain words you can't say. Well, why not? That's communist when they do that. That's what makes me mad. Ellie wants to tell you guys exactly what she thinks and knows. And I don't want to have to say, well, you know, that word I can't say. Yeah. But yeah, Karen, thank you. Mary, get better. Prayers for Mary so she can get better. And Karen says, thanks for joining us today. Yes. And if you're new, share. I'm only going to get more wild, I think, in telling you guys what I know, especially tomorrow. I got the Clinton thing coming back up, and it's when I was going through the info I received in my evidence, there was a package that said CIA. And so tomorrow I'm going to go through, and I was shocked. I was shocked of what I found in the CIA info. So you guys are going to get that tomorrow. And of course, if you missed this morning's, if you guys want to have a good laugh, just go back and watch the Weather Channel or the weather report this morning that I did. And that's why I do it, is to, you know, give you guys a little bit of comfort and make you smile. And, you know, we're going to make it through this. We just can't put up with their stuff no more. And you got, you know, once they start answering their phones again, boy, we're going to call them, and we're going to call them hard. And oh, okay. I had to see what Judith was talking about there. I had to go back up. The thing about it was, Judith, and it's always been a two-party, and they can't just take it down to one because it's against our Constitution. And that's something that we must hold and uphold. That's why it's so important for you guys to keep that Constitution close, because that's what's going to change things, is when we have, there are enough Republicans out there to stand up and say, no, And I'm waiting for the big brawl on the floor of Congress between the Republicans and Democrats, because they can't make it a one-party rule unless we vote for it. If not, that is a coup. That is a dictatorship, and that's against our laws, our federal laws, but against our Constitution. So don't worry about it, Judith. I think we're going to be fine. I think enough Democrats have finally woke up. They keep saying the right needs to be woke. Well, I think they just got a reverse woke. And when I see over 90% of this country against Joe Biden, that's what we've been waiting on. That's what we're waiting on, because it's going to be a slam dunk. And the only thing they're going to do, I heard, oh, well, they'll fight us. What if all they're going to do is take the money and run? The law, they were all looking at New Zealand and Australia and all of those other countries. All of our politicians have been flocking to and looking into housing there. I think they're going to take the money and run. I think they're too chicken to fight us. If they can't take away the guns, then they're going to be too chicken to fight us. So, yeah, there you go. You don't want to. No, well, get angry. Yeah, there's been people that's been in my chat that's been. I'm gonna have to tell you guys. You guys got me banned a few times. Um, Not banned as they taken away. They just hit me with a little strike saying, you guys got to watch out what chat says. They watch our chats and they watch what I say. But it doesn't bug me one bit. I don't care. If you guys got verbal, you got verbal. Some people, they'll get verbal, leave it for a little bit, and then take it out. They take out what they say. That's where you get you'll see people take their messages out because they know. But they got their point across, took it out. But no, it don't faze me one bit if I get a strike with Facebook. It's normally with Facebook. It's not with YouTube. And Facebook, they just go, they hit my hand and they say, don't do that. And I'm like, well, okay. Well, I'll kind of sort of mind you. But I'm not too enthused over Facebook. But for me to get the word out to you guys, I've got to tolerate Facebook and YouTube. So anyway, yeah, so pray. Yeah, get you a slingshot that with a rock. That'll ping them in their heads. Uh, you get it. Use tomatoes. I can't get vicious because they'll get me for spreading violence. Mary's like, oh my God, Ellie, don't say that. Tomatoes. Use your tomatoes, and it don't matter what you put inside the tomatoes. Just use tomatoes. So that makes a big mess. Yeah, we gotta sometimes watch our P's and Q's, but you know what? We're doing great. Um, we're growing every day. Every day we get more viewers, and I'm just going to keep peddling. I don't care if I get one a week. I don't care if I get 10 a week. We're growing, and if people want to hear the word and what I have to say, they'll keep joining us. So. Don't use potatoes. Potatoes hurt. Yeah, I won't tell you the potato story that I threw. They hurt when they hit. So don't throw potatoes. Tomatoes. Whatever you put inside, don't worry about it. We won't talk about what's inside the tomato. Just throw the tomatoes. All right. So, like I said earlier, I'm going to see Jurassic World tonight, and Susan said she's going to go see it this weekend. And I'll let you guys know if it was a good movie. Now that we're, it's hard to get entertainment because it's so expensive. It's going to really count for us to hear what's good and what's not so good. A lot of you might want to go see Tom Cruise. I'm not big Top Gun stuff. I think I'm going to go watch some monsters. And hopefully it's in 3D. I love seeing the monsters come out of the screen at me. Yeah. Yeah, Ellie likes 3D. I think that's the coolest thing that ever happened with a movie. There you go. I agree with you on that one. But I don't want to touch it. That's my thing. I'm like Monk. I'm like, oh, and even if I do it with the gloves, I'm like, oh, and I have to wash my hands like 2,000 times afterwards. And then I keep thinking about it. And when I go to eat, it's like, ooh, I had that in my hand earlier. Oh, I know I had gloves. And then I get those real thick yellow, um, those plastic kind of gloves, the thicker ones, and it still don't make me quit thinking I picked it up. I guess I have a thing phobia on picking up poo. Um, that's just me, though. Like I said, maybe I'm just too much like Monk. For those that ever watch that show, um, yeah, I'm like, oh, I can't wash my hands enough, and I could have them so clean that the skin, I'm washing the skin off, and I still go to eat and like, oh, I had that in my hand earlier, so that's me. I have phobias like everybody else. Uh, so with that, folks, I will let you go. Mary, prayers for Mary, and share and subscribe. I think today's show is very important to share with your friends and family, and give them a little bit of ease to tell them the truth. Sometimes the truth hurts, and you know what? Like I said, let's join hands, and we need to go forward, and we need to get rid of this administration. They need to be gone. We need to vote them out. They need 90. We got the backing, folks. 90% of this country does not want them here. They don't want them in power. And you know what? Now we have the strength in numbers. Let's go get them. Bye bye, folks. Have a nice day. We'll see you tomorrow.